Oh, it looks like it's gonna let us. Look at that. Dragonfly Earth Medicine for the win.
I love it. I love it. Well, welcome everyone to the 8th. I think I put on there the 7th today, but time rolls along, and this is the 8th DEM Pure online educational series. And tonight we're really excited to discuss soil. And we feel like soil is, and we've always said that soil is the basis to all life. And really, in the end, we all just become soil anyway. And so, you know, in this life of pandemic and this life of what to do next and everything, I think we need to turn to the soil.
And we're going live right now, so some people are seeing us out there, but we're not going to be going officially live with the show until 6:30. So we're still waiting for a couple more people on here.
So we're just going to create some dialogue with Josh and Jamie because they're here with us tonight, and
Swampy Acres.
And we'll have you reintroduce yourself around 6:30, but just tell us what's going on. What'd you do on the farm today?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Go ahead.
Well, it's like 90 degrees here, so it's the third day of that. So today we went and we harvested for our CSAs pretty much all day, and then we took a break around 4 and then got back at it.
Picked up some rice.
Yeah, tell us, what are you harvesting?
What do we harvest today?
We did kale, Swiss chard. We did
Beets,
carrots, and then lettuce heads,
salad mix. Yep.
onion. Uh-oh. Ooh, we didn't.
It was me. We didn't.
Are you guys pulling baby carrots out right now, or were they ones that you overwintered?
We're thinning, you know, basically our rows that we planted in the greenhouse back in May.
No, in March.
March.
Yeah.
So
some of them are pretty big. We have ones that are called Cosmic Purple, and they're huge. I mean, they're so early, and they all popped up like that. So that's a new favorite.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're really dark blue too, so they like
dye your hands almost.
Mm-hmm.
Dyeing some t-shirts.
That's super cool. And when you cook them, does the purple come out of them?
No.
That's super
it's
sweet
purple,
to make a carrot soup with that. We have like colored carrots that we plant here, but once you start cooking them or steaming them, they sort of lose that purple color and go back to sort of a not too much color, you know, even if you lightly steam them.
Green beans do that too. I was surprised. We cooked them with for lunch. We had black beans and carrots.
Turned blue.
Yeah, everything kind of just turned blue. I don't know.
That's so great.
And are the plants kind of getting hit from the sun, or are you seeing any kind of, you know, a wilting and whatnot, just because the plants aren't totally set up for the 90-degree heat yet?
We've had a lot of stuff bolt that doesn't normally bolt on us, like a few carrots, some radishes, like our early spicy Asian greens and stuff that normally last longer. We had like a really warm spell a couple weeks back, and it just kind of set things off on a weird kind of transition. And then it got cold again. We had frost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, earlier last week it was down to like 36, I think, and then this week it's up to 90 again. So It's been weird. Like our lettuce, we tried some of our lettuce heads today, and
some of it just went.
They were not good.
A little bitter. Woo.
Yeah,
good for the energy though. Yeah. So, do you guys have weather like that up in the UP often? Like, is it pretty normal to have it fluctuate?
Yeah, definitely. That's how it is normally in the summer. You know, it's pretty crazy, which we're grateful for when it does get cold, because we live in the swamp, so the bugs get pretty unbearable at night. It's nice to be able to enjoy outside, maybe go canoeing after dark.
You guys have chaga growing in your area, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, lots of chaga. We have a lot of white birch. Some of the biggest white birch I've ever seen, actually. They're giant. We live right on the North Country Trail, so we have a pretty crazy pattern of walking through.
Okay. What's the North Country Trail about?
It's a trail that runs from North Dakota down through New York, I believe, and it's like an old heritage trail. And yeah, we have a few farms.
It's massive. It's
wow.
Yeah, it goes through the whole UP. So there's probably like a really small window of time that you could actually do it without freezing or getting eaten alive.
Yeah, definitely.
So we think like September, maybe sometime in September is probably the key.
Yeah, we get people passing through. It's a pretty cool spot. There's like a sculpture park down the road too. So like we got a pretty little attraction through the woods kind of going on here.
We always think about giving out lemonade.
That's a really good idea. I'd love to see that.
Maybe we'll put up an egg sign soon.
Oh yeah, something. Just for walkers.
That's sweet. So was it originally like for like carriage travel, wagon wheel?
I'm really not sure. I think it's always been a walking trail. I'm not positive on that though. I'd
Yeah,
have to
me
look
neither.
more into the history of that.
Do you find any interesting plants or trees that are maybe kind of heritage plants or trees that are near the trail? Or is there
Well,
any kind of...
There's a lot of talk of the different shapes of the trees. Like in our area, there's a lot of trees that are like split in Y and are bent, and they're, you know, known to be purposely bent and pointing in directions, you know, like fertility and different things in the area.
That's
Still-
really cool.
Still trying to find time to get off into the woods and really see what's going on out here. There's supposedly some really nice waterfalls and stuff just like right along the way.
Yeah, I walked like not even 500 yards in a direction that I usually don't go, and I found a cedar swamp. I like ran home and told everyone, like, we gotta go to the cedar swamp now.
That's awesome. Hey, we wanted to let you guys know, Leighton and Patricia and Forrest, we're on live right now. And we're going to go officially live at 6:30. We just had to do it early because Marcus had to do a meeting. So just everything we're saying is being recorded live, and I'm sure there's some people watching, which is awesome. We're stoked to have you guys here tonight. So maybe at 6:30 or whenever we have everybody, and Leighton, you're ready to go, just let us know, and we'll sort of do a little introduction thing to the show.
What's happening on the Sunroots farm, Patricia and
What'd you guys
Forrest?
do today?
Hey, I was just pulling up some photos from the farm. Yeah, we've been here.
I planted some corn today and was hanging beneficial bugs out. Trying to keep the aphids
I took a
at
nap.
bay.
I took a
All right,
nap.
can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
you
hear
can.
you.
That's
Cool. I had
great.
some sound issues.
Yeah. Hey, Leighton,
Tech-
did you hear what I said, that we're on live right now? Did you catch that
Oh,
part?
we already are.
We're on live right now. We're going to go officially live at 6:30 because Marcus had to come on and just get us on live. So just everything
Okay.
that we're saying is on live, and we've probably got watchers. We super appreciate you guys out there on YouTube. And we'll start it officially at 6:30. If that's cool with you guys, we can still chat.
Yeah, hopefully Keegan will come on here in a sec from Dragonheart out on the Big Island, and Craig will be back here in a sec too. So we're just touching in with everyone right at the moment.
Yeah.
Nice. Little pre-chill.
How are you doing today, Leighton?
Oh, I'm doing well, sweetie. I'm doing really well. Had another great day playing in the garden, doing soil tests, and doing my thing. So enjoying life.
Yay, that's super exciting. I'm really excited for you to be like in your garden. Are you in your garden right now?
It's right behind me. I think the picture, you can see it.
Yeah. Super
So
sweet.
yeah,
Love
it was tough. I mean, I live on Dune Circle off Dune Road, and so it's sand dunes, literally. So building soil out of sand can be a challenge, which we'll talk about a little tonight with Swampy Acres, because they had a similar situation. But yeah, I'm really excited to do this. Put some thought into it, and it was really great to interview each and every one of you prior and kind of get a feel for what you've been up against, some of the things that you guys have been done or have been doing. I think it's really going to be helpful for people out there to hear this, and give them some confidence that they too can do this. It's not complicated.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully someone will be watching the chat. And if anyone has any questions that, if we can pop it in, we'll try and answer it, or maybe someone else can. But,
Yes.
it's all about the journey. So everyone knows, we're all still building soil. So,
It's like regenerative. It doesn't end. It's just a journey. Uh-oh.
That's for sure. Somewhere
kinda
along the
lost
line,
you
we,
there.
came up with the mix. Did we? Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
Is
Yeah.
that can you hear us?
I don't know if it's me or you guys.
Okay.
Did anyone pipe in?
It's probably us. We're doing our best out here.
Your internet at Dragonfly, it's always a little spotty.
Cool. Well, as long as it's not me, that's good. But yeah, another thing too is I don't know if anybody can kind of watch the clock and then like 15 minutes, just like clear their throat or something, so that we know that it's time to move to the next farm. Because I'd love to have a little time for Q&A for the crowd after the fact. So I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I think it is. Marcus will be coming back on really soon. So he's going to watch the chat as soon as he comes on. And we've got some DEM Pure farmers that are watching it too. So anybody out there, make sure to text us. Marcus doesn't come on in time.
And
that would be
welcome,
great.
welcome Keegan.
Yeah.
Oh, he's here.
Aloha, Keegan.
Aloha, guys. Sorry I'm late. Thank you for having
No,
me.
you're good. You're good.
You're perfect time. Right now we're live. We wanted to let you know that Marcus had to put us on live a little bit early because he had to catch a meeting. So we're live and we're just sort of chatting, but we'll go like official with the show just in 4 minutes. So
Yeah, everyone's here, so we're all good to go.
yeah, I guess. So whenever you guys are ready, we can make that happen.
We can do it. I mean, I guess we'll wait till 4 more minutes. What's happening on Dragonfly Farm? What'd you do today, Keegan?
Yeah,
Just
what'd you do
really
today?
quickly, what was some of your tasks?
Believe it or not, I have the week off. I just needed a little break from the farm, but I came in and harvested a bunch of tomatoes and checking out the mulch piles, our compost piles, and do some weeding, just walking around. I can't help but weed some plants.
How's the mango farm looking?
Man, I just moved in over there actually, and they're full on flowering and looking great. So just a few more months, we'll have abundance of mangoes. I heard you guys were interested in that property possibly.
For
So
sure. I mean, it sounds glorious, and I know there's a good history there, and the botany.
Totally.
Are there any mangoes ready right at the moment that are early, a different varietal?
For sure, yeah. They're just starting to come on. It's a little bit late season, but just starting to come out right now.
That's amazing. I just wanted to let all the listeners out there know that Keegan lives on a farm with like 80 plus different varieties of mangoes from all over the world. And when we saw that farm, it was just like, whoa, that is impressive and exciting. Maybe we could start rolling now. We'll just sort of introduce.
Yeah, there's some love in the background.
Hey guys.
There. Good to have that flowing.
Lady. Pass on the love big time.
They're saying hi back. All right, you have fun. She's taking the dog for a walk so that he's not like barking and kicking the camera around. He had a little operation. He kind of lost his what the other day, so he's like really ornery. He's got this big cone on, stumbling around, walking into things.
That's good. Well, you know what? We're just a couple minutes early, Leighton. Why don't you just?
No, I think we'll go ahead and start, and we'll pass it over to Leighton. So, welcome everybody. It's the 8th DEM Pure educational discussion, and today we're super excited to have Leighton Morrison leading the conversation. And we've got Josh and Jamie from Swampy Acres. Welcome you guys from UP, Michigan. And Keegan from Dragonheart Farm. So nice to see you. And Marcus is going to be coming on here in a few minutes. We got Sunroots Farm, Patricia and Forrest. You guys are awesome. And then Craig from Alpenglow Farm. And Leighton is going to be leading us down this incredible exploration of soil and all 5 of our farms. And before we turned it over to him, I really wanted to put out a prayer and intention to the universe right now for all of the incredible struggles and the feelings of intention for all of humanity right now, and what Black people are going through on the earth right now. Black Lives Matter. Everybody here at DEM, Pure, and all of our certified farms feel like equality and equity is absolutely imperative. And not until we really are paying attention to African American and African descent people on the globe as equals and people all over the world, you know, really putting out incredible heartfelt prayers and intentions.
And really it's just, you know, and this aside what kind of a world we want to live in. So we believe that, you know, microbial rich, soil rich, culturally rich, very inclusive places where we want to live. And, you know, we just really recognize where it's not like that for everyone. And also with the pandemic and the sickness and the masks and the fears and the vaccinations, we just really want to encourage people to be very weary of, you know, what Western medicine is, you know, making us do in the future. And I think we should just really look towards herbalism and look towards plant medicine and look towards nature, which is ultimately where we come from. We are nature. No matter how technologically advanced we become, we are of the earth and we are nature spirits. So what we can do to enhance our environment, enhance the well-being of our human body is really, that's our revolution. You know, our revolution is, you know, in making the human race, you know, strong and powerful from a nature perspective and a nature farming perspective. And you know, so we appreciate everyone here.
And I just wanted to say, polyculture in the garden is what makes a garden healthy. Polyculture within humanity is what makes our humanity, you know, healthy. And we're going to continue to look towards nature for the answers. And, you know, when we do look towards nature and we see what Mother Nature is doing, the main goal in everything that she does is to make soil. So Leighton, we're going to turn it over to you now, and let's talk about soil, this very important, healthy, amazing thing that we need to look towards to get a lot of lessons for our future.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, beautiful prayer, and you know, Black lives do matter, and you know, #amplify. I think that's a great way for us to support local Black businesses and, you know, support them both financially and emotionally. And I think that, you know, that's really going to be important. And I love the way you say that it's the diversity coming together that's going to make us so powerful as a species, not as an individual. So yeah, kudos. And you know, I love what Leonardo da Vinci said back in the 1700s. We know more about the movement of the celestial bodies overhead than the soil underfoot. And I think that's, you know, a real issue. And so part of tonight is to try to go down that rabbit hole of understanding what is soil and how we work it and how we create fertility that allows us to grow these herbs and these food and this medicine that we all need, especially now, more so than ever with the pandemic. You know, health is going to be, you know, your first $1 million, literally. So, you know, all the more reason to eat healthy and take real medicine that's safe and not, you know, manufactured somewhere by who knows who under what conditions. So, yeah, let's dive right in. We're going to start the journey in Mendocino, NorCal, with Sunroots, Patricia and Forrest. And I'd love them to pop on and hopefully they can put up some of the pictures of their farm so that the audience can kind of see, you know, what we're talking about and where they are. They have a unique situation. Every one of you farms have a unique situation in that you have a specifically unique soil system, unlike the others. And, you know, the goal tonight is to really find out what you started with, how you worked it, and where you are today. And so hopefully encouraging, you know, the people that are listening that they can too do this and create incredibly fertile soil with simply sand, silt, clay, and organic matter, or any one specific one of those ingredients by adding in the others. So yeah, let's open it up to Patricia and Forrest. You guys out there?
Hi.
There you are. Hey guys, how are you, man?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Good,
All
good to see you.
Yeah.
So, let's start with something really simple. When you moved onto your property, what was there? What did you start with?
It was pretty bare. I mean, there was some fruit trees here and there from like the people that had owned it before that are pretty big size. But other than that, we started our gardens pretty bare with just the native soil around here, which is we live in the valley floor. So in our area, the soil is kind of loamy and actually really rich and has lots of earthworms and stuff like that. So we lucked out with that.
Yeah, and you're also in an alluvial plain to some degree, correct? Or,
Yeah.
or drainage?
Yeah, we're close to the creek. We're like 700 feet away from a creek, and it used to flood here before the valley was drained back in the early 1900s. And so it's kind of like in certain areas there's silt beds, and certain areas there's like gravel, sandy soil, but for the most part there's like 2 feet of nice chocolate soil we can work with.
Patricia, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were going to add something?
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I was just gonna drop in there too that we are on indigenous territory. This land belongs to the Pomo, Wailaki, Nomalaki, Yuki tribes, and I just want to give reverence to them that when we are talking about soil and where we are, that we honor where we are and whose land it is. So I just am giving thanks for being here and being a part of that, and working with our community too. It's always good, like in these settings, especially in cannabis, where we are able to farm and profit, that we give back to those communities where we come from and where we reside.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's awesome. So you actually answered my second question about digging.
We were harvesting
when you dig in. I'm sorry, go ahead, Forrest.
No, you go for it.
Yeah, these things are always a little dicey. I'll try to make sure I have a solid end or a solid stop. Yeah, so you already kind of answered my first question about when you started digging around. You have pockets of gravel, you have pockets of silt. So you've really got what is traditionally considered an alluvial floodplain, and so it makes a lot of sense that the indigenous people chose areas like that to kind of populate and use as different times of the year. Like I don't know if they lived year round or if they migrated, but yeah, it's a great indication of what I would consider a beautiful starting place to work with. So moving on is what kind of materials did you forage or wildcraft when you first got there to encourage the soil health?
Well, when I got here, there was a lot of blackberries, so I had to dig up a lot of blackberries, and we chop all those up, and we can put that in the soil. At the beginning, I did bring in outside source of soil for like that first year, but ever since then, I've been building like with hay and manure. We have alpacas on the farm, and we also outsource local manure from local here in the valley. I also collect like all the leaves that fall, because we have like big trees here, oak trees and cottonwoods, and lots of oak trees though, and all that material falls down in the fall, and then we can collect all that and spread it out, and that works really good.
Yeah, one of our biggest ideas on the farm is to use as much as you can that's already there. That kind of goes hand in hand with like using what you have. And I really am always advocating that everyone, you do have materials around you to build soil. You have to kind of go out there and observe what's around you, that permaculture philosophy where you sit still for a while before you actually work with the land, and you observe and you get to know the plants that are in your area, the trees that are in your area, and what materials call to you or give you the permission to be used, such as in our fields, we have tons of these native grasses that we will scythe down and then use as mulch instead of purchasing mulch. And if we do have to purchase hay or mulch, we're going to go to our next door neighbors and do that before we try to reach anywhere outside of a 10-mile radius is really our goal. So we're all the materials on the farm that we can possibly use, and then there'll be like a couple extras like hay that we'll buy from our neighbors, or local cow manure that we'll buy from a source that we've been working for a while within a, again, 10-mile radius.
Beautiful. And yeah, you know, I think that is a really important concept, is that you try to harvest everything you possibly can. I'm down here in SoCal, and everybody's got 2 giant trash can, you know, bins for green matter. And I'm like, what are you doing? You know, all of these people are like hauling away all of the grass clippings, the prunings and everything, and dumping them into the landfill. And I'm like, this is insane. You have so much material that you could be reusing on your own property to increase the soil tilth and the fertility and composting. So yeah, you know, that's something that we really need to hit home with people, is that, yeah, take the polyculture approach, take the, you know, the regenerative, you know, program at heart, and look around as what you have that you can work with, and don't let anything leave. There's no reason for it. Chop it, drop it, grind it, compost it, use it as mulch. You know, these are all wonderful things that you can do with the biomass that's existing. And I don't care if you're in suburbia, you know, a city's a little bit more difficult, but even there, you can find ways to, you know, sickle down wild grasses in the vacant lot, and you know, make a, you know, a protozoa tea with it, or a mulch with it. So, you know, thank you for bringing that up, and you know, hopefully we can really pound that home with everybody tonight. And again, that, you know, that permaculture approach of observation of nature is so important, and is overlooked by so many people because we're so busy on our phones and our jobs and our relationships, that we don't take the time to connect back to nature, and, you know, literally sit there and observe the birds, the bees, the bugs, the plants, and see what's around you. So, you know, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, other than the manure and the hay, is there other things that you wildcraft in your area, like chips or
Yeah, I always keep my eye out on the roads for looking for chips. Tree trimmers will just dump them on the road, on the side of the road. So I'm always like scalping them.
And it's important to kind of like do your research too. So you might see a pile of free material like chips on the side of the road. Maybe investigate that a little bit and make sure it hasn't been treated with anything. So you don't want to be adding into your soil what's not good. So always doing your research. Like even some people in the beginning, we were using cardboard a lot, which is a great product to use, but cardboard is a byproduct of paper manufacturing, which uses a lot of chemicals to, you know, turn that into cardboard. So although it's a great way to recycle it with regenerating the earth, but I might not want to use that for the food that I grow or the cannabis I smoke. Maybe I'll, you know, use it on some of my other trees or something. So it's always good to be mindful when you are sourcing free materials. Amazing. Research it though.
Agreed. That is so powerful words. And the good news is that pretty much all inks nowadays are soy based. So they're not toxic like they used to be in the old days. And yeah, as much as it's a bummer that our society makes so much cardboard, I agree with you 100%. It's a wonderful product to actually build soil. Use it under your compost pile. Use it, in areas that are that need to have moisture held into place, or prevent erosion. Not necessarily, like you said, in your vegetable garden or under your cannabis plants, but it is a great material to really help build fungal life in the soil. So thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, I'm all about the chips, brother. And yeah, it's important to look at it and think about it. I try to like stay in a neutral territory, because a lot of us that are in more urban areas, I don't have the luxuries of being able to be too picky about the materials. We kind of have to work with them. But trust nature, because if there's potentially some hydrocarbons or something like that has been near them, or potentially they've sat in them, the biology will break that down. It's an amazing thing when you really dive down that rabbit hole to see specifically like what Pseudomonas bacteria do. And anybody can make Pseudomonas bacteria. Now, I don't recommend them if you're sick or immune compromised, but basically it's banana peels, orange peels, potato peels, and then mix in your greens and browns. And what that will do is grow out these bacteria that actually break down compounds back into their original elements, and therefore make them plant available in a way that it's not going to be harmful for people or animals for that matter. So thank you for the words of concern. And yeah, you do your homework, everybody. Use your common sense. Going to an old garage or an old dump and digging up materials is probably not a good idea, but somewhere on the side of a road where there's not a lot of traffic, or if it's off, it's above the water runoff, then you're going to be safe. You're going to be all right. So I wanted to ask, did you guys do any testing when you originally got there?
We've done one soil test like 4 years ago.
Yeah, so on our farm, we're very, as much as we do like to do our homework and research, we are very much intuitive gardeners, I would say. And that intuition and that intuitive sense I love the science too, but I have to say, like, as someone who comes from ancestrally like an herbal lineage, and curanderismo, where the people are looking and listening to the plants and really just trying to know and hear what they're saying to us. It's like kind of how we have a relationship with the soil. We're out there looking at it, we're picking it up, the texture in our hand is really important to us, the life that's going on in there, the air that's happening within the soil. When we build our compost piles, we're making sure everything's aerated and there's not a super anaerobic situation. All the senses are there. The smell, does it smell how I want it to smell? Does it feel how I want it to? Everything is like, a scientific human approach without the lab work. So we have done some lab work, but we don't do a lot. We just really trust that. And we know because of our results in our plants that things are working out. So we haven't spent too much time down the scientific lab work, to be honest.
Yeah, and I totally make sense. And believe me, I get intuition. For the experienced people, it's easy. You don't need to spend money testing. Now, the only thing I would say is that you'd be like getting a report card. You get like an A++ because your soil's going to be so much better than it originally was, and you can hang that on the wall to remind yourself of what the great job that you guys have done. So that's the only reason I ask. And a lot of people who are less intuitive kind of need a starting point, so that they know what's there. And a lot of times with cannabis specifically, each cultivar will actually pull different minerals and nutrients from the soil. And so it's always nice to know that, especially if you're not as intuitive and don't have the resources that you guys do, to just check it and make sure that you're not stripping one specific thing from your soils, because eventually you're gonna, I've heard this story so many times. Well, when I started, I was a great grower, but now I can't grow anything. did you test your soil? You know, you might have stripped a few things out during the process. So anyway, that's why I brought that up. And one other thing was biodynamics. I think you kind of been playing a little bit with that.
Yeah, we have a really awesome crew here. One of our crew members, his name is Horace. He worked on a biodynamic farm for a long time before he came to our property, and now lives here. He's been with us for years now. He really introduced it to us, and he is one of our head compost makers. And we're constantly, so once he came in, I started doing the research on it, and of Rudolf Steiner's philosophy of bringing the cosmic energy down into the soil, which I really love that concept. And when we are building our compost piles, we're introducing certain preps with herbs and time frames. There's different preps that you can look up if you're not familiar with biodynamics. And introducing those into our compost piles, as well as bringing preps in during the springtime and the middle of the season for fungal resistance, and also just to bring light and energy to the soil. It's really philosophical, but it really works, especially the calendar. And why I love biodynamics is because basically it's like astrology for plants. So you can get a biodynamic calendar and see what day's a flower day versus what day's a leaf day or a root day. And we have done experiments here. We planted an entire garden of flower on a flower day, and then another one on a, I think
a root day.
On a root day, and total difference, absolute difference, like half the size for the root plants versus the flower planted flowers. And it really does work. I think the cosmo connection to the soil and the earth and our bodies is incredible and something to look into.
Oh, totally agreed. And when I first started talking about this, people thought I was crazy and all woo-woo, but it's real. I mean, look, the planet's circling around the sun, and the sun circling around galaxies. I mean, there's astrology. I mean, there's just, thousands of years of research indicating gravitational pulls on our body and the soil, and everything is in flux. So I thank you for sharing that. And I hope that people do kind of look at it and not as just a woo-woo. It's real. And I agree with you. Everything I've fooled around with has proven to be legit in many ways. So thank you. And thank you so much for sharing. I think it's been about 15, 16, 17 minutes. And so I'm going to jump on to Keegan next, but can't wait to come up and visit you guys. Thank you so much for all the sharing and taking the time to actually be here. So thank you.
Thank you
very much. All right, Keegan, you out there?
Yes, sir. Can you guys
all right,
hear
pop
me?
on up. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh, really?
There you are. There you are. And I'm sorry, I meant to ask Patricia and Forrest to show some pictures, but maybe you will have some that you can pop on. And I'm not a good tech guy, so I don't know how to do it. But anyway, we'll dive right in with you, and if you can figure out how to pop pictures up, cool. If you can't, no.
Marcus is going to be here about 5 minutes.
Marcus
so he's
is
going to be able to change that for us,
and he'll be able to get it up there, and then we'll be able to take a look at Sunrise Farms photos too. So we'll
yeah, cool. You can circle them back in, which
because
would be
I
great.
gotta see
really
some pictures of those beautiful velvet perp sunroots. One of the most amazing strains in the cannabis industry is grown by those two people at Sunroots. So if anybody hasn't tried velvet perps, go get yourself some. It's amazing.
Nice, beautiful. All right, so Keegan, you have a unique situation. You have taken over an old tree farm that was treated synthetically. So I'd love to hear where did you start when you landed there?
Yeah, I'd like to say, it's just not just me. We got a beautiful crew over here working the land. Where we started was a kind of a neglected orchard situation. We have almost 1,000 fruit trees on the property, about 100 avocado, 100 coconut, lychee, longan, and a lot of cool sapote, jaboticaba, tropical fruits. And when I got to the property, they were actually kind of neglecting those trees and just doing like a market garden. So when I got here, it was kind of my focus to switch back to the trees, and in that switching back to the soil. And yeah, I am hopeful that we can share some pictures. I can show you guys kind of what we were up against and where we're at now. But yeah, it was just a
Nice.
shift back to the trees is kind of where we're at right now.
Cool. So so you walk on, the place is kind of run down, and they've taken the focus away from what it was, the tree farm. What was the first thing you did to start rehabbing these things, the trees?
It was, yeah, it's like this problem is the solution, right? So we have all these 30-year-old fruit trees that are kind of competing for light. They're all growing too tall. And then we have compacted soil and often not a lot of rain. So we did a lot of heavy coppicing, pruning of these trees, chipping that up, and then bringing in the local ingredients. So bringing in biochar, bringing in cinder, bringing in manure, bringing in all the coconut coir, which has just been a blessing for us, and fish from the fish farm, and food scraps from our restaurants. Just bringing in a lot of stuff with the mulch and covering the soil, retaining the moisture, and building the life under each tree, like really focusing on each tree underneath, what's going on, where's the roots, where's the moisture. That's kind of where we went with it.
So did you kind of fork it in, or rake it in, or till it in, or did you just top dress the trees?
Yeah, we did not do any tilling at all. Again, I'd like to hopefully show you guys the process, but it's really cool. We make this what we call a poultice mulch. So we do not till the soil at all. We don't break up the roots, but we make this really wet slurry with manure and coconut coir and worm castings. Make this thick, like 1-inch slurry, and spread it all the way around the drip line, and then add composted plates from our restaurant. So instead of using cardboard, we're using these areca palm leaf plates that are like this. We lay those out as a sheet mulch over that manure layer, and then we add the composted wood chips on top, and it creates like a 6-inch fat layer where, you know, just in a matter of months, you're seeing tons of earthworms, all sorts of life coming up. And most importantly, seeing the really nice, clean, white feeder roots busting all up into that and feeding off of it. It's just a beautiful thing.
So did you add water too, or once the slurry was done, that was the moisture, so you didn't have to water after the fact?
We did water in. We did water it in. Make sure
Okay.
it's really saturated first, and yeah, just rely on the rain from here on out. We're not on drip irrigation, and we don't need to be.
Good.
I just checked all the trees, and they're all stoked right now. We haven't had a whole lot of rain, and really in a good spot, saving so much water. I can't tell you how much we've saved.
Oh, I know, right? These little things, it's amazing how well
is.
they function, and the lack of resources we need to use to get them to really take off and blossom. Did you do any like cover cropping under these trees, or did you just leave it mulch only?
Only mulch, yeah. They're pretty mature trees, 30-year-old trees. So we did not do any cover cropping. When we do new plantings, we do often put in cover crops. A nice spinach called Brazilian spinach that we use that really keeps the soil cool and moist. And then also a pigeon pea, which
Really quick, I'm
nitrogen.
sorry. See if you can share your screen now.
We made you the host, so we think that you
Oh,
can share, you can put up some photos. And Marcus is here. Yay!
So I just
Hey,
made
Marcus,
the
what's up,
host-
brother?
We just made Keegan the host, thinking he could screen share. If that was right, I hope it was or not, but you can tell us, Marcus.
Yeah, you host disabled attendee screen sharing. So I don't know who did that, but it definitely says it's disconnected. If you make me the host again, or if he can do it, that's fine. But if you make me the host again, I can fart around and make it so everyone should be able to share their screens. I always have it set like that. But hello, Leighton
You know,
Morrison.
Marcus, how are you, brother? Hey, and
Good,
you know
man.
what too is if you can keep Keegan up and then like block me with his pictures. I don't need to be there, just so that people can actually see the farm, because it's really all about you farmers. It's not about, you know, the interview. All you need is my voice.
Got it.
But however it works, I'm good.
I can pin his video once he figures out getting it.
Keegan, can you make Marcus the host
Um,
and
hold
decide
on.
participants?
Help me out.
On the right-hand side, there's participants,
Mhm.
Or on the bottom of your screen?
or on the bottom of your screen, you'll see the participants.
Yeah, there's 3 little dots on everyone's box at the top right. And if he clicks on those, it'll be an option, make host.
I think I got you, Marcus. I think you're it.
Yeah,
Let me see if I
you're
can.
it.
That. Advanced multiple participants can share simultaneously. Advanced sharing options. Okay, there we go. All participants. All participants. There it is. You should be able to do your thing now. Thanks.
Thank you, Marcus, brother. Glad to have you here.
Happy to facilitate.
Yeah, for some reason, it's still not letting me do it. It's asking for some system preferences.
Right, you'll have to give it, there is preferences that it asks for, and you'll have to go into your preferences to make sure that you're allowed to do it. That's with your computer, but once you do that, you should have no problem sharing.
Okay. Give me just a second. If someone wants to talk over, or if you can fill the space, Leighton.
Hey, yeah, we'll fill the space. Marcus, I would love you to tell that story of the first time you actually smoked a, regenerative, synthetic free bud, and how you kind of were like, wow, what a difference.
Well, it was, I can't remember the exact time because it's going quite a bit back, but it was definitely, I had acquired, I had already stopped smoking cannabis because I had taken cannabis to the level of, that's not true, because the first cannabis I ever grew when I went out to the Kootenays in the early 90s and I hooked up with the Holy Smokes guys, Alan Middlemiss and Dustin Sunflower and Paul DeFelice, just the most beautiful, amazing people.
Just saw Alan the other day. Just wanted to put that in there. So
my brothers,
Alan.
This is 25 to 30 years ago, maybe more now. Maybe I'm aging myself. I don't know. But I went out there and they were like, hey, we want you to help us dig holes and we're going to mix soil. And they had created this beautiful soil and we were mixing worms in and we were mixing everything. And that was, we grew a bunch of cannabis and, I smoked this stuff called A1 Magenta and I just couldn't, I was like, what is this? Like, this is something different than what I have ever really understood. And throughout that experience, I took salts to the highest level that I could and was making great hash. And it was sort of hit this ceiling. And then, getting turned on to, growers who were not just doing it organically, but really this DEM pure style of regenerative, sustainable agriculture and growing, farming. It just, the terpene content shot through the roof. Suddenly you're getting higher, but not just higher. You're just getting a more complex sort of multi-dimensional effect from the cannabis product that you're using. And of course, when you're concentrating it, that effect is multiplied by even more times. And so it was revelatory for me for sure. And there was no turning back. It was kind of like, oh shit, like I ate the red pill or whatever, and I'm not going to be able to eat the blue one now and go back into the matrix. So that's how it was for me.
Nice. And this is true with foods too, and fruits, which is like the whole big picture is that, getting away from that paradigm of synthetics is, so important for us, especially now, and demanding that others get away from it. Support the farmers market, support your local farmer, and don't get involved with grocery stores unless you absolutely have to. And if you do, I hate to use the word seek out organic, because organic isn't even organic anymore. You never know what it is. True. But you got to hopefully believe that it's a little bit better than the pure synthetics. But I guess it is what it is, and do your research and know the source. If it's organic avocados from Mexico, maybe think twice. Maybe find some from California. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, macrobiotic is a big play. Macrobiotic, I think, is pretty important. And when farmers sort of start teaching people about that, you know, it's great if you want to eat this vegan, organic, raw food diet, but if you're flying your coconuts in from Hawaii and blasting jet fuel into the atmosphere, your consciousness might be missing the mark a little bit, and you might want to maybe not like support cacao from wherever. You just want to get as much local as possible, because it creates those relationships where now you're meeting these quirky characters, these amazing farmers, and they're obsessed about their heirloom tomatoes, or they're obsessed about their old school seed. And I mean, what's more beautiful than making friends like that?
Amen, dude. Amen. Thank you for sharing that. That was valuable. Very valuable. So it looks like Dragonheart's got some pictures up there. Keegan, can you like flip another picture up?
Yeah, here we go. So I know my time is short, but I'll kind of blast through. Again, we're a regenerative tropical fruit tree farm. So we
Don't worry about it. Just
Yeah,
go with the flow.
don't
Go with the
worry
flow.
about it, Keegan. You just roll through it. We want to hear all about it.
Here we go. So yeah, lychee is one of our favorite crops. Grow a lot of bananas, polycultures going on with a lot of veggies inside, botanical gardens, a lot of fungi. We're making our own soil, doing raised beds for veggies.
Beautiful. So let's talk about two of the inputs that you really intrigued me with: your fish ferment and your biochar. So tell everybody a little bit more about the fish ferment that you're making.
Yeah, we're really lucky to be attached and really close to a local organic tilapia farm. They have, I believe, almost 1 million tilapia. They can pump out 10, 20,000 pounds of waste every week. And we're able to capture a lot of that tilapia waste. So it's fish scraps. And we get that into 55-gallon drums. We cap it off with sugar, and then often top it off with biochar on top of that, just to help with any smell and flies. But so yeah, you got this 55-gallon drum, 3/4 full, then add the sugar, then add a little bit of biochar on top and let that ferment for about 3 months. When we drain that off, we have this beautiful, super yummy, super fertile fermented fish juice. And how we've kicked that up another notch is actually there's a spirulina processing center on the island, and we were gifted a 2,000-pound tote of spirulina. And it's super dusty, super just smoky, flies in the air. So we've actually started adding the spirulina to the fish juice to kind of just give it an extra oomph and a lot of vitamins and nutrients. And then, so we have all this fish juice, and then right down the road is this guy making awesome biochar products. So he burns up the mac nut husks from a processing center who's doing mac nut shelling. So he burns up those, crushes them down into a beautiful biochar. So again, we have this 55-gallon drum of juice, then we have a 55-gallon drum of biochar, and we just soak that biochar in the juice, soak all that up. We often do several pours through that to make sure it's fully inoculated before adding it to our soil mixes, our fertilizer mixes, stuff like that. So it's just
Yeah, I was blessed. Keegan sent me out a sample of the fish juice, and yeah, there was some amazing growth in there that I was not familiar with, and I think it is perhaps the spirulina or another type of algae that's really populating that. And the beauty of it is that algae is going to store those proteins and those amino acids, which have been broken down from proteins, and will make them plant available. And so what a wonderful way of taking a waste stream and utilizing it. Yeah, it's a little potent, it's a little pungent in the smell side, but I think, you know, you and I talked about ways that you can knock that back a few notches. But I think that, you know, in the end, once you've got it dialed in, you're going to have an amazing byproduct of byproducts. So you talk about loops closed and then closed other loops, and then, you know, just closing constantly, which is amazing. And then putting that back in the earth where it belongs instead of in a landfill. So,
Totally.
you know, kudos to you, my friend. The work you are doing out there is great, and you're an inspiration to you know, all farmers out there as to what they can do with these waste streams, regardless of what it is, whether it's, you know, chips on the side of the road, or you know, fish guts and heads and racks. You know, that's really a very important focus of tonight is how we can utilize, you know, other people's wastes and prevent them from getting put into places where they're not going to get used and can actually benefit everybody. So tell us more about how the trees are coming back with your poultice and, you know, some of these inputs that you're putting on. Can you keep flipping through your pictures?
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
flip through. So this is a good example of what the orchards looked like when I started. Can notice the grass almost 20 feet tall over here, and this avocado tree getting choked out. So the soil was obviously depleted. It was very dry. The roots were not thriving. A lot of the trees choked out. So we go in, mow, and then apply our poultice mulch around the trees. So this is, you know, just a few 6 months into the project, and this is kind of where we're at now. We have some
Wow.
companion plants growing under, and just the growth on the trees. I mean, they're just stoked. They went from maybe 1,000, 2,000 pounds of avocados to 8,000 pounds this season, and that's again in 1 year. Tons of bees, tons of
Talk a little bit
avocado.
about the coconut trees. Tell us about the racks on the coconut trees.
Yeah, the coconuts, they're young, right? So they're only about 5 years old, dwarf coconuts, all very great varieties. So what we did with these, and I don't have a great picture of it, but we call it connecting the dots. And basically, instead of mulching in a circle around the coconuts, we would actually connect the row of trees. So that way we have a fat mulch layer, poultice mulch layer in between the trees. And something we're dealing with a lot here is compaction. We do have a clay type soil. So if we make that ring around the tree and then we mow around that ring, we're constantly pushing down that soil. So what we do is we connect the dots of the trees. We make lines of mulch so the roots can thrive in between the trees. They can communicate. And yeah, you can just see the racks are really starting to come on heavy.
Yeah, what you're actually doing is connecting the mycorrhizae, the internet of the trees, together. So that mulching between trees is a beautiful concept. And
Yeah.
you know, when we talked about that and some of the other practices that you're doing, I was just like, my mind popped. I was like, wow, this guy really knows his stuff.
I don't know about
Because
that.
most people would never think to create a pathway, a highway for these trees to start to communicate to each other. And so yeah, once again, you know, your intuition, your instincts, your knowledge is proving you know, how important allowing these plants, these sentient beings to be together and to communicate and share. They're sharing knowledge, they're sharing nutrients. I mean, you start looking at how many materials are moving inside of a mycorrhizae tube. It's nuts. It's literally like fiber optics. There are materials going back and forth, and then materials on the outside going back and forth. So, you know, kudos to you, my friend, and you know, thank you so much for sharing and again taking the time to be present for this. And unfortunately, we're right about that 15-minute break. So I'd like to move on, but I thank you again, and you know, hopefully we'll have some questions that are directed toward, you know, some of the things that you're doing at the end of this. Because again, you know, it was awesome to meet you, and you're doing some amazing work out there. So kudos, bro. Big love.
Man, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Can't wait to come visit, dude. All right, so let's move on to Dragonfly Earth Medicine. Where are you guys?
We're up in British Columbia. Also, Keegan. No, sorry, but Keegan and they have amazing worm produce on the farm.
I mean, we walked this farm.
Yeah.
We were so blessed to see what you guys are doing, the smells on the farm, all of the beautiful spinach, the edible spinach that you're putting around, you know, your agroforestry is just, you know, incredible. So I just wanted to, before we go into talking about us, yeah, big, you know, amazing farm, Keegan. Just so beautiful out there.
Thank you guys. Yeah, got a lot more to share, but I know everyone else got a have their time. So
Hopefully
Well,
we're going to be
hopefully-
able to, in the end, we'll try to come back to the photos because we really want to.
for sure.
And
The
hopefully,
channel is
Keegan,
here for your
that
disposal.
now that
you all.
people,
Sorry, I just
hopefully-
wanna say the channel is always here for your disposal. Anytime you guys want to do shows, it's available. So don't feel constrained by time.
oh, thank you, Bubble Man. Much appreciated. And hopefully, Keegan, because you're doing this platform, more people will know about you, and they'll hit you up and ask you questions, and maybe come out and work on your farm to see what you're doing. And that's what this is all about: is community, is a group that can share knowledge and technique and tech to help everybody. The high tide raises all boats, and I'm a firm believer of that. So thank you, Keegan, so much.
Thank you.
All right, Dragonfly. All right, so let's start with, you guys have a really unique system because you're half and half. You're half forested, you're half paddock. When you started, you're mineral rich on one side, you're clay and rock on the other side. So tell us what you did when you started.
Well, first of all, just like Patricia was saying, we really want to honor, the native people that were here before us.
Which is the Tanaha Nation and the Kootenai Nation and their and the Sinixt over in the Slocan. They're really important native peoples, and they canoed on these lakes, which are amazing, and had a beautiful, amazing presence. And the Sinixt are considered extinct right now, which is really sad because they are not extinct, and they're around, and they have 10,000-year-old pit houses in the mountains, and they're very important to us. And they've also helped us save Jumbo, which is a wilderness area in the zone.
And we've been blessed with this land. We worked really, really hard for it for a long time, and I just wanted to really acknowledge something that I'm deeply delving into, which is white privilege, to be able to have a farm. And I am, really honored that that's something that we get to have, and also are really looking at other people who don't have that. There's a tremendous amount of Black and brown people that are continually marginalized, and I really wanted to say that we really are honored with this, and we feel that white privilege, and that's something that we're digging deep within our own soul to try to learn as much as we can as the whole world is learning. So wanted to say that before we delved into it.
Well put.
So the Kootenai area is the only inland rainforest in the world, and it's a tremendously unique area. It's very mountainous, tons of glaciers everywhere, and it's very rocky. And the area that we live in has always been pretty much has been all organic ever since the 50s. And that's just been a movement of people that wanted to be back to the land, the Quakers and different people that were back to the land specialists. So we took lessons from the Doukhobors and the Quakers and the draft dodgers and the conscientious objectors and ganja farmers, and really the self-reliant people that moved to this area to buck McCarthyism and the military industrial complex back in the 50s, and then the civil rights, and then the Vietnam War, and the list goes on and on and on. Basically, what rings true is back to the earth. So we have this land that we moved on to, and it was basically an open field with forest on it. And what we learned through traveling the world was we really just felt inspired by terracing the hillside. Even though you can hugel and make mounds, and those mounds become like a terrace, that's a really good thing too.
Which we do that as well. This is the only way we can build soil
But,
here.
making a giant, terrace, and then being able to just use that as a biological sink for dirt and different soils is what we've done. So when we first moved here, we dug 3 large terraces and built a greenhouse, and we made a greenhouse platform, and then we dug down 2 feet where from inside of the greenhouse, and we took different inputs from the land. As we started digging up, we started realizing we have this kind of dirt here, we have minerals here, we have limestone, calcium rich dirt here, we have pond, swamp juice, over here, and we mix it, and then we use, our vegetation and biomass, but we fill that sort of subterranean sink, and we create big beds in there, and that's the way we've done it.
And we're
Hey,
we're
can you guys
go ahead.
can you guys put up some pictures? Like
Yeah.
Bubbleman, can you put up the pictures so
We
that
can do it
people can
right
see
now.
this? What you guys have done is crazy up there. It's beautiful. I mean, you were in soil that is very difficult to deal with, and
We're incredibly
Are we on
the
right
pictures
now?
I've seen are amazing.
we're really, really inspired by soil. We're inspired by the health that soil gives you. We know that the maladies in our human existence and in the animal realm and in the plant realm is because it's of lacking of microbiology, which is found in living soil. So we really have taken it on, like, how can we create a healthy microbiome within our own selves to then have the intelligence to be able to create a healthy microbiome on our farm. And that's just something that's been at the forefront of what we've been doing. And right now you're seeing a machine, but we don't have any machines on our property. Everything is wheelbarrowed up and down the farm.
Can
We
you see
walk
this
it,
picture?
but we'll bring in a
Yes.
small machine to be able to
Okay.
terrace it, because we are on, the western side of the Rockies, which
There we
is
go.
considered the Purcell
There we go.
Wilderness area. And it's a huge mountain range, but it's a really new mountain range. So we don't have any soil. We have just a tiny bit of topsoil that's really full of clay, mineral rich. You can't dig with a shovel. You have to dig with a pickaxe. So this is how we're going to bring you through our terrace and creating soil.
Yeah, here's one of our greenhouses, our latest one that we did. So we do a giant terrace. You can see there's a lot of rocks, a lot of brown dirt in there. Then we bring in trees from the forest and also dimensional lumber or anything that we have cutoffs from building that we're
Anything
doing,
scrap.
anything like that. And we make a pretty good sized mound. So in the end, that mound is probably, up to your knees or up to your thigh. We're building the greenhouse around it, and we use split cedar posts from our land. We learned from the homesteaders to burn the bottom of the posts, and also it's a Japanese tradition.
And big up
Romans
Josh,
too.
who's in this picture, who was helping us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh.
Big up Lapo, Josh
Yeah.
and Christy, who were helping us at the time. Amazing people from out in Whistler came out and lived with us for a while. One thing we recognize when we're building a big hugelculture for the first time is you put a lot of cotton in there, a lot of brown material. And so if you can see to the right here where I'm pointing, we took the scraping of sod that we originally made the terrace from, and we turned the sod upside down on the wood. And then this over here is a little bit more of a nitrogen rich compost hay. So this compost hay is a little more nitrogen rich, a little bit more hot, a little bit more N, and it's going to mix with this nitrogen. And then this sod layer there's a lot of microbes and soil microbiology in the bottom of the roots of sod. So we're going to have that sod biology come to life, start eating this nitrogen rich hay, and then move as it starts growing and building its vitality. Then it can start eating the sticks.
I love it. I love it. And the beauty of it is that if everybody took their lawns and took half of their lawns and flipped them upside down and did this and made gardens, think of suburbia as a Garden of Eden of food. So this is huge what you're doing here.
Yeah, and
amazing.
We think that it's really important. You can take what we've done on a really, a medium to large scale, and you can do it in your backyard. And that's why we want to explain something that's totally easy. And this is done in 1 year. So we'll just like roll through this and make sure if you're using dimensional lumber that it's not anything that's been treated.
Mostly we don't bring treated on the property.
We would never bring treated wood on, but anyone who might have it, or they find it somewhere.
Or
No
plywood.
treated, or
Of course
plywood,
not. But
no plywood.
anyway, so we never burn on the property. There's no burn piles anywhere. We never burn on the property, and we have a stack of wood. And if we end up getting too much wood, we'll chip it. But for now, we could just build new beds with it. And then we take the more mineral rich dirt and we just continue to layer and lasagna the
Yes,
different
talk
kinds of-
lasagna. Lasagna was on your list, so talk lasagna.
Basically looking at different makeups of dirt, different makeups of, is it leaf, is it grass, is it a bush, is it all branches, is it all, it's
Diversity.
Does-
Just think about
All
different
right,
size. Some
start
dirt that was
again on
just down the
lasagna.
mountain.
We lost you, so
Okay.
start on lasagna.
just
Sorry. So this right here is a picture of soil that has to be cleaned out just down the mountainside from us.
a spawning channel.
A spawning channel. In order to clear out the spawning channel, it just has to be cleared out every year. So this is just our buddy. He brought this up, and this was like the topper. So this is
It's
the
pure
we're
silt.
lasagnaing.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
it's silt
there's
and it
even
has
some
a
kokanee in there. There's some fish and stuff. So we got fish scraps and silt. Yeah, it's silt. But there's also, some channels in the area that are like 10,000-year-old peat bogs that they only channel out certain parts of their land for, so it doesn't flood.
and
So
we're
Oh,
and
look
we're
at-
bringing on
Look at that.
we're bringing on this soil, but this is something to just our beginning bed, the very first bed, and we don't need to bring on, soil to this bed ever again
Yeah.
because we're going to be utilizing it
So basically,
from our property.
in the lasagna, the most important thing when you're building a very raw, very goddess Gaia garden, whatever it is, it's amazing. It's at the end of it, it has to be capped with dirt that's not going to harm your roots. So here we've planted plants we have dirt that was more like topsoil, and we put that topsoil as like a cap to the mound, and then that plant can get planted in the cap, and then it works its way through a lasagna all year. The
Wow.
plants, we never watered them. Maybe I made a hash in the middle of the year and used some hash water, some terp hash water in there, but really it was non-teed throughout the year, and we had incredible, amazing health, and it was absolutely insane to be able to put together such a raw garden bed and have the trees and the plants just go, thank you very much. I'll just be transforming this in my root zone. Living soils are something that is, all dirt should have stubble or some kind of material in it poking out, or some kind of thing that's feeding the living bacteria, microbiology.
And
fungi.
because this was a first year and those plants were just starving to get in, we planted them all in, and then all of the polyculture and the biodiversity you couldn't really see in those pictures really formed this beautiful mat underneath, which turned out to be a tremendous amount of horsetail because it was from the spawning channel. So we're going to show you another hugel bed that was just all made from everything on our property, even the soil, even the mulch hay.
We'll go quick, but the last one was specifically for ganja in a greenhouse. There's two other big ways that we can learn, but that we can build soil. One is high nitrogen, heavy feeding plants like corn and squash and beans and things that take a lot of, so we can overbuild a bed with manure and then use the plant to fuse that dirt over the few years. So when we crop rotate, we might do squash for like 4 or 5 years on a big mound, and then the dirt will be totally transformed.
And then you can start putting in your carrots, you can start putting in onions, things that really like that heavily composted soil. So the way that we rotate all of our crops is we're rotating depending on how much is being eaten underneath the ground.
And the second way, which is a very Quaker way of building soil, like Ruth Stout was born in 1888 in Kansas, and her big thing was the no work garden, which was just pile up hay. Pile up hay for days. So we build soil by growing potatoes in hay, and we use about 18 inches to 2 feet of hay. And then you take 2 or 3 years and you have an unbelievable amount of soil.
So
there.
we would put the potatoes in a bed that didn't have anything else in it. It was just pure rock, soil, silt, clay. And this is what we get on a first year of just growing it in straight hay. People, you can do this in your backyard. You can just take down even extra grass clippings, pile them up, plant some potatoes, and then the potatoes start to remediate that earth and turn it into soil very quickly.
And
it's a really good.
You guys, it's all
crop.
about the potatoes, right?
Exactly, it's the sacred potato.
Remember the potatoes on the altar?
Yeah.
So
All you
potatoes
need-
are an amazing root crop that really bust up compaction. They're like dichondras. They do amazing work in building tilth and miles of rhizosphere, which is where all of the nutrient cycling happens. And so you guys have just showed us how to early succession in a manner that will quickly get you into a later succession soil system over a matter of a year, which normally takes, hundreds of years in a disturbed soil system. So,
and we're on our land for 14 years now. So we have 14 years of crazy soil building and terracing and giant greenhouses that are circular. This, you know what I mean?
And we're all doing this with, almost 100% closed loop, even on our own property. We grow comfrey, we grow nettles, everything, and just pile. What is it that we can do that creates deeper soil? It's like this personal quest. That if we're going to leave something and not just make our existence worthless, we want to leave something that's valuable, and that's living soil. That's the most valuable thing that we can leave our future generations.
And so where's the picture of Josh? I want to see the picture of Josh buried in the soil.
Oh, good God. Who knows where that is? We'll have to look for that. There's a lot of them. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of me buried in the soil. But, it's not just what we do. There are a lot of pictures of other, pure certified farmers in our group. But this is a burdock root, compost pile.
Just tons and tons of burdock. It has a tremendous amount of phosphorus in it. Getting phosphorus and phosphates that are made from synthetic sources are really killing our microbiome, on the earth and in the soil. So
I've been working with a lot of farmers, specifically indoor guys that are trying to find good sources of phosphorus. And I keep telling them, stop using soft rock phosphate. You don't need it. The plants will harvest it for you. And you guys are such an inspiration to so many people, and the work that you guys are doing are absolutely amazing. And so, much love and huge ups to you guys for all you're doing. It's amazing that the stuff you're doing and getting the word out and in these simple techniques and methods that anybody can do in their backyard. And lasagna soil building is so simple. And you can convert a suburbia freaking grass lawn into an amazing garden bed with these types of techniques. So,
and we just want to say that we've worked really hard. Oh, sorry. I just want to say, yes, we've worked really hard on our land, and we've been, but the education has come from so many elders before us. And we just really want to honor, the First Nations here too, that have taught us a ton of things, and our Quaker community, like Josh had said before. And also the most important teaching that we've been getting is from Mother Nature. Patricia mentioned on it before that it's intuition. We are intuitive farmers. We're listening to Mother Nature, what wants to go on the soil. You ask them if they've done soil tests. We've only ever done one soil test because we can just look at the plants and we can tell if something is missing. And so we're really being intuitive with Mother Nature and talking to the plants.
And
I'm
we
listening to the
didn't get
intelligence.
into our tea making and our open fermented and then aeration
I
tea,
know,
but
I
we'll do
know.
that.
We got to
We'll
do
do that
another
later.
one. We
We'll
got to
do
do
that later.
another one. We
No
got to
big
do
deal.
another one on ferments and inputs. Like one of the most important things that I wanted to hit tonight was like, how are you handling your fertility now? But there's no time for that. So like we're giving people the basics, like, look, these are the simple ways to do this. And then once you get past this or beyond that, and you have tilth and you have macro and micro aggregates and your soil's transpirating and respirating and your plants are doing well, then that's the next step. So perhaps we should do another session, hopefully in the next month or so, where we really get into the next level of fertility, whether it's a foliar or whether it's a soil drench or whether it's a top dress. It doesn't matter, but those are the key components. And yeah, nobody really needs to test unless they don't have intuition. And you guys are blessed with years of experience and being around the plants. But people like me who build soil, I don't get to grow plants, although I am this year finally. So I get to see reaction and I get to understand how the chemistry, the biology, and the plant itself all function together to create the fruits that we want to harvest in the end. So thank you guys so much for sharing and making this platform available to so many people, because people need to hear this. People need to know how to do this. And you guys are inspirational on so many levels on what you guys are doing. Not only spiritual, but grounding in the dirt, man, in the soil, where we all come from and we all go back to. So big ups to you guys. Much love. Thank you. So let's bounce on to Swampy Acres. Let's deal with sand. How do you grow shit in sand? Clay's a bitch, sand is worse. So
All right.
Josh, you out there?
Yep. Can you hear us?
There we are. Hey, Josh and Jamie.
How you guys doing?
Hi.
Appreciate everything.
Oh,
been nice
God, yes.
to
God,
hear the
yes. So early on in my work, I was forced to deal with engineered soils. And engineered soils are 95% sand, 5% organic matter. And you cannot get protozoa, you cannot get fungi, mycorrhizae or saprophytic to take, and you can't get yeast or anything else because it drains too fast. Now, these were high performance sports fields, national parks, state parks, where you had large crowds, tromping over the grass. So it was a bitch. And, I had to do some crazy shit like Bubbleman, where I was taking stainless steel screens at 47 micron and 100 micron and sifting compost, wet sifting compost to get a slurry or a suspended liquid that I could apply to the sand to actually start to establish the biofilms, the glues, the glomulins, and the biofilms of the bacteria. And you guys kind of like dove into this place, the sand pit, and clearing trees. So I'm like so excited to talk to you because, as hard as it is with rock and clay and some of these other things, sand just drains too fast. So it's really problematic to establish a really healthy soil system in a sand-based system. So where did you start?
So we started with our property. It was kind of one of those situations where we didn't pick our property. It was kind of picked us. It was a old friend's property and just needed a lot of remediation. He was a garbage burner. He had, a burnt down house on the property. So we came in and we did a lot of work, a lot of cleanup. And we started out with a sand pit that we ended up leveling and kind of like helped out the areas that were real forested. But he luckily cut down a lot of trees in his days here. So we were left with a lot of sun space. So it was just up to us to kind of level the ground and get a playing field. And with the sand pit, we kind of did a little terracing system, but it didn't work out like we were quite thinking. I'll try to get some.
It's one terrace.
Yeah, I'll try to get some.
Do you guys have some pictures you can put up?
Yeah,
or
I do,
Yeah.
nice.
let's Let's see.
No stress. Take your time.
Can you see it? What? Okay.
There we go. All right, you got to click on them, I think.
Yeah, let's see. There we go.
There you go.
All right, are we good?
Beautiful.
Okay,
Yep.
so when we got here, it was
Well, first we should say we live in the UP, so it's like a like 90-day growing.
UP, you got to say it's Upper Peninsula, Michigan.
Yeah.
So you guys are like way up there, close to the Canadian border.
right. And so we lived in the shack our first season out here, which we built on the property using a lot of scrap wood. We're really into scrapping and finding things on the side of the road and using them to our advantages in all aspects, like recycling greenhouses people have had taken down with the wind, you know, just like using everything we can. And this is kind of a more recent photo. This is last season. This is kind of a photo of the fog rising over our swamp. This is like the view from our driveway here. So we get a lot of nice sunrises, a little deer hanging out. So this is what we deal with in the wintertime. Which this was probably a photo of more in the spring, honestly, one of our spring dumps. And so with our soil building, it's been key to keep the microbes as far as we can underground with as much on top so they can overwinter and have a place to go in our below freezing temperatures. Because this is the only greenhouse we leave the plastic on because it's just our starter house. But the rest of them, we take the plastic off to save our plastic and to save our greenhouses because there'd be no way we'd be able to keep up with it. And then,
you know, I wanted to touch on something really quick. Dr. Leighton did a study in her early years of moving out of aquatic biology into soil biology. And she actually went up to Michigan, or actually it was Montana, I'm sorry. And she dug through the soil or through the snow and found that there was a layer of biology that happened between the frozen ground and the snow. There was a liquid layer that existed there, and it was loaded with protozoa. So basically, the system itself takes care of it by allowing that insulation of the snow on top and the frozen ground underneath. So you guys are in a really cool zone where if you take that into consideration and you apply compost on your soils before the snow flies, you're going to provide a larger layer of that interaction of biology so that when the ground thaws in spring, all of that biology just pours back into the soil. And I think you're kind of doing that instinctively. And it's important for people to understand that even in a frozen tundra, there is life between the frozen ground and the snow on top. So yeah, tell us more.
Okay. So you can see we kind of have this little terrace where there's one up here and one down here. Our first year here, which was 5 seasons ago, we decided to just plant right in the ground, not really knowing much about hugelkultur or anything. We just pond liner, potting soil, and did this with very minimal compost teas. And then that was a big mistake because it was watering all the time. It was honestly one of the worst things we could have done.
So high maintenance.
And we didn't have a well running at the time, so it was all pumping out of the reservoir.
Yeah,
and
we were
ponds.
going to a spring that's like 5 miles away, collecting buckets, bringing them back to water this.
It was just not the most ideal situation.
Yeah, you guys, I live on Dune Circle off Dune Drive. I get it. It's a nightmare to build soil out of sand. And that's why I was so excited that you guys were going to join us tonight. So keep going.
Over the years, we started building basket type of hugel mounds where we'd go harvest a lot of the material from our culvert systems because we have our road gets flooded out a lot. So there's a lot of beaver activity in our area. So there's a lot of nice stuff to work with.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
That's all good. It's all good. So we call that beaver fever. There's lots of biology that's actually doing decomposing work. So beautiful way to really get soil up and running quickly.
Yeah, and they're
Lots of
really good at,
biology.
they're really good at giving us really straight material to work with for making borders and nice nice poles, and they're usually using ironwood. It's really hard, lasts
And
long.
look how chocolate that is. That's all chocolate wood.
Yeah,
So that's all biologically charged.
so yeah, it's like I got to thank the beavers for working with us and
Nature, right?
and
She's
bring
our
it.
friend, not our enemy.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting too because previous people have talked about observance, and this was, the first year we spent all this time hauling water and all this maintenance, and meanwhile we're watching the beavers just like do so much work, and it just maintains itself. And so it was just like after a while, like, okay, well maybe we'll work with them and try to figure something out, and that was the byproduct. So they pretty
Amen,
much just,
girl.
like, pile it up in the culverts for us, and we take it and thank them and come back in 2 weeks.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And then with adding animals to the property, we've got goats, a nice duck family, chickens that hang out in the wintertime. This is one of their few times of being out. And we also we're blessed with the property owner before me. If he did anything besides burn garbage, he spread a lot of bioaccumulating plants, and he grew comfrey, plantain, chamomile. There's primrose, St. John's wort, yarrow, like growing just everywhere on the property. Nice plants to just be adding to our mounds every year and just being able to mulch with a lot of our existing material. We have a lot of hardwood, so there's a lot of nice maple leaves in the fall and the spring. That's always a big task. And making ferments with these really helps to spread it out. We make bokashi on the property. It's one way that we can help spread our
Bokashi is amazing, and we definitely need to talk more about that in the future, because that bridge between aerobic and anaerobic is so critical to fast soil building. And Alan Atkins has done some amazing work with this stuff, and it so helps in bouncing geological time to human time. With a little bit of that, you can actually bounce your soil so fast forward, it's not funny. So yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we use this in all of our animal bedding. We throw it in there periodically throughout the winter. It helps break down our piles when we're using our tier system, moving piles of compost around, always throwing a little bit of bokashi. We do a lot of myco remediation with blue oyster, and Kingstropharia. That's helped a lot. I haven't seen any of them pop up yet because we just started doing this last season, but the mycelium and it's just, it's all helps with our piles. We just need to keep adding life. There's a photo of one of our worm bins here.
Nice.
I started a worm family the first season we were here, and I just keep dispersing it into different beds, and kind of like every winter, a different bed gets turned into basically the worm host for the winter, and then we go in and disperse it throughout the rest of the beds to give those all a little bit. So they're pretty much all worm beds at this point. A lot of worms. We do a lot of like live brew teas as well with collecting all these plants that I was talking about.
So are you talking about like ferments where you take all of the plants and you add them to water and stir them, or?
Yep, stir them periodically, and then add aeration at the end with plantain and just different flowering plants throughout the season.
Yeah, I got to play with some fresh sea kelp lately, where I took the fresh sea kelp and I put it in a bucket of water and let it ferment, and it got a little stinky and it got a white foam on the top. But when I microscoped it, oh my God, it was amazing. And ferments are really critical in building soil, and anybody can do it. You can just throw plants in a bucket of water and let them sit, and they break down, and then the biology sets in, and then you can use those to supercharge your soil. So fantastic, dude. And I love what are those, pumpkins?
Yeah, those are prize pumpkins for the year. They
Nice.
some
Nice.
of our things ones. Worms seem to really like that, and we haven't had any seed pop up, so we know that they've been totally consuming it, which is nice. For our small greenhouse we have here. Some of our vermicomposts that we're
Oh,
using.
God.
Sometimes
Look at the
we don't have-
aggregates.
Yeah, sometimes I have to outsource, so I have vetted one of my friends who makes it down in Wisconsin, and it's been a blessing to have his operation helping us when we need a hand, and it's all from his own property with his own cows, and it's a really small operation, so I feel really good about it, and he's always willing to
It's all
deliver.
about diversity, my
Nice.
friend. It's all about diversity.
He's doing a lot of closed loops as well. I looked into that, and so this is after a first season of hugel culture with the beaver stuff, and we do a lot of polyculture. We're market farmers, so we have we try to companion plant just about every greenhouse with at least something that we use or give back to the plants.
Beautiful work. Beautiful work, dude.
Here's
So when you guys got started, did you bring any amendments in to charge the sand, or?
well, just basically the basic knowledge I had working on organic produce farms was basically all I did, was just what I could gather. And there's luckily an organic farm down the road that sells local compost that does biodynamic preps. So I mean, they're a back road away, don't even have to hit pavement. So they've been a blessing, and they sell minerals in small amounts of amendments. So it hasn't really been a tremendous amount of amending. More or less just compost has really helped out with our property and their property, and just we did bring in a lot of local topsoil from different burn sites around the area, and it seemed to be a pretty good bulk to our sand just to get going, just because we didn't really have the machinery. Everything's been wheelbarrowed in, and it's just been just getting what we can and taking what we can.
Dude, sand is no joke, and the fact that you got that good that quick is amazing, because sand is, of all of the soil types, the hardest to get plant growth. So kudos to you for bringing in topsoil from the local developers, collecting the biodynamic manure, and dealing with how to get fertility into a system that wants to drain.
Right.
Your work is outstanding, my friend. Outstanding.
Thank you. We owe it a lot to research and being connected with all you guys. It's really been help. It's when you can't look to your local, anyone in your area really, to build from the sand up. A lot of it's been great. We use a lot of
It's community, my friend. It's
our
community.
potatoes aren't as impressive. I was kind of, when I saw your guys' potatoes in the
Kelly
last
and Josh.
photos, I was a little hesitant to show my baby reds, but we
Nice.
Hey,
nice.
that's the best kind to put on a tray and sizzle up in the oven.
Those are the best. Those are tasty.
It's all about the potatoes, man. I'm telling you, those guys bust ass.
Yep.
Look
And
at this. Wow. So there's your one terrace, but it's still beautiful.
Yeah, this is the first year. So back in that building photo in the beginning, this was the earlier in the season, and then this was, adding all the rest of the companion plants. And this is just
Oh, you got to have the gnome.
building gnome gardens is key, to stay happy on a small scale and keep your fantasies and dreams aligned.
Amen. Amen. Oh, Josh and Jamie, you guys are beautiful peeps. And you know what? Thank you so much for sharing how to actually turn sand into amazing soil, because it is, like I said, one of the most complex systems to try to build fertility in. And it's no joke. I mean, if you go out to the Sahara Desert, try to plant some. Good luck, right? But you can with berming and terracing and, you know, successionary planting from the potato all the way to the palm tree or the sequoia, whatever you want to call it. It can happen. You can do it. It is possible. So amazing work, you guys. And I can't wait to come visit you guys. And there will be a time when the shit rolls over that I get to come and hang and see what you guys are doing, because it's beautiful work. And thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you,
for having
guys.
us. We appreciate the opportunity to share.
Amen, bro. Amen. All right. So is Craig out there somewhere? Craig, are you there? All right. So let's open it up to some questions.
Craig,
Bubbleman, can you?
Craig is here.
Can
Craig,
you?
Craig is
Craig
here.
is here. He's just he's gonna figure out how to unmute himself here.
Like
There we go.
me, he's a troglodyte.
I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, there he is. What's up, bro?
Hey, it's been a wonderful evening listening to everybody. Thank you for sharing.
Oh,
Thanks for
geez,
hanging in
I'm
there.
not doing
Craig.
anything. You guys are doing
Of
the
course.
work. So let's dive in, bro. You're on the top of the mountain. All right. You're back in Humboldt County. We're back in NorCal where we started. And you took a farm over that was clay and rock and extreme weather. So where did you start?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll give you a little more of a snapshot where we're at. We're about 11 miles from the ocean, and at
Hey,
about
Bubble
18.
Man, can you put up some pics?
Oh, I don't have any pictures.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're about 11 to 12 miles from the ocean, and about 1,800 feet above sea level. And we're at the confluence of two rivers that flow out to the ocean. So if you look to the west, we are, you have a series of fir trees. And if you look to the east, it's grasslands and oaks over the mountain ridges. So we have really, really nice wind and breezes that happen throughout the day and really nice air exchanges. But the land we purchased, it's kind of on a northeast face. As most of you know, Humboldt County has been kind of mecca for cannabis growing and back to the land movement. And the south facing land that had water, that is really, really high dollar land. And that was scooped up a long time ago. And if it comes for sale now, it's really, really priced out. So at the time when we purchased, it was early 2000, 2002 or so. I knew exactly where I wanted to be, what mountain, and realized that this piece of property came up on the northeast ridge of the mountain. And at that time, that's when indoor growing was really prevalent in Humboldt County, because we were pushed out from the clearings into the forest, and then even the forest with the helicopters became so prevalent that people were forced indoors to grow. So this property had indoor grow scenes, and it was pretty heavily forested, but it was a value for us. So we had to come in and literally clean the property for the first year and remediate a lot of it, and kind of carve out our little spot. And then from there, as we moved in and built our home and site and everything, we had of course our little family veggie garden, but the laws of cannabis were really uncertain. We had Proposition 215, which had so much gray area to it. You didn't really know how you could scale, and scaling was all on a whim of whatever the sheriff was doing that year. So some of the scaling happened with smart pots or containers that you could put in the sun, drag out back underneath the trees, and so forth. So as we built out, it was during uncertain times. But now with legalization, we've been able to transition and dump those smart pots out and go into hugelkultur beds and more traditional style where our roots are in the ground, and we're really embracing that way of the certainty we have now. And it's taken a little time to get to that point where we could actually make that happen. And, you know, I've got a couple things on my mind. I want to really throw out a huge thank you to Chris and Chris, who started the Living Soil Symposium. And that's where a lot of this network of farmers and people and folks all came together. I didn't make it that year to Oregon, but one of my folks that was on my farm that year did, and came back with so much knowledge. And we immediately started building hugel beds and setting up compost tea brewers. And I just want to really like thank Chris and Chris for getting that started. And then that's where, you know, Jesse and Dan brought on the regenerative farm award, and I got to meet Dragonfly and Josh and Kelly and so many other amazing folks. And that's kind of part of the whole evolution of the soil. It's not just the land and the story of that, and it's the knowledge share and bringing us to the point of the evolution of how cannabis is grown in general. You know, 25, 30 years ago, we did forage for our inputs. We were packing way into the mountains and you know, grabbing whatever was within about 100 feet of our garden, other than like a bag of chicken shit we would pack in. So we're able to go back to some of those ways of farming our cannabis, which is really amazing, and feel really blessed to be in this point in time and have this community that's all here on this event tonight.
You know, when I first met you, you brought me up to your farm, you opened your house, and you shared, and you had 2 grows going, and the other grow, your lead grower was taking plant juice, fermenting it anaerobically, and then he threw it in this 250-gallon brewer and brewed it out. And I was like, what you doing, bro? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm brewing this shit out. And I was like, okay, why? And he's like, well, it's fermented. And I was like, oh my God, dude, you're taking like what I do with fish shit that smells like crap, and you're brewing it out to an aerobic smell, and then you're applying that. Holy shit, where did you learn this stuff? What were you doing? And he was spot on. Like he was doing it through intuition, and I think all humans have that intuition. And then he was applying it to your clay and your rock, which is the top of that mountain, and producing amazing plants and doing it, you know, consistently and on your property as well. And I think, you know, one of the key things was that when you transitioned out of smart pots and into living soils, you got serious about hugelculture, and you got serious about hay terracing. So I really want to talk about like what you did with hay terracing, because I think anybody can do this anywhere. And I know for fact, because a buddy of mine who is a worm herder used to take hay bales and go to his organic farms, and he would build these like hay rings, and he'd throw a whole bunch of fucking forest inoculum and all this other stuff in there, and then he'd throw his worms in there, and then the organic farmer would throw all of the drops and the excess produce into those, like, you know, hay bales. And he created these amazing worm compost or vermicompost, as well as created these you know, perfect zones for plant growth. So can you talk a little bit about your, you know, your hay terracing techniques?
Yeah, for sure. And you know what we learned is with the ground we're working with, we really need to stay on top of the surface to build up from. Digging down takes machinery. We're just not going to be able to chip into the rock.
And it gets anaerobic.
Yeah. Yep. And so what we can do is we have a lot of steep slope, so we can come off that steep slope by 4, 5, 6 feet, put a a hay bale ring around, or just follow the contour of the topography there, and put down the hay bales, or straw bales is what we use, straw bales. And then we'll throw in some rotting wood between that and the bank of the mountain. So you have the bank coming down, we've got our hay bales here, and then we'll start loading material in this side. And we're in such a forested area, and we've got so much brush and plant life. We can just start foraging around and packing that all full with green material over the decaying wood. And then the other thing, like I said, Humboldt County being Mecca, is there's piles and piles. You can go to any property, there's piles of old potting soil. To this point, it's just a medium because most of the life has been washed out of it, but some of it where it's interfaced with the earth is actually reloading itself with worms and biology. So there's piles of that around, even including this property. So we use that a lot too, to get that back into these spaces and loaded with biology. And I'll share one other thing with that. That's been the biggest challenge, is to get biology into peat or cocoa. And to think that that's sold as a growing medium is crazy, because it is so hard to get biology into it. We'll dig
Oh,
around where
bro,
we've, yeah.
I can speak on that for hours. All right. Like, I've done the work, so I get what you're saying. But the beauty is that you're taking these waste streams and reintroducing them back into a soil system where they are functioning again. They're providing a matrix, a system that the biology can attach to and live and function. So, again, kudos to you for taking those waste streams and using them. And
Yeah,
yeah, there's no reason you shouldn't.
Yeah, and we're also blessed with some of the inputs that we can source right here in Humboldt County. We have a friend with a mushroom farm, so we get his spent blocks. And a mushroom
Nice,
block for us
nice.
is, he sources the sawdust. It's native tan oak, so that's, again, we're closing that loop, and a bigger scheme of things, not within the farm but within the county. So we're getting these inoculated blocks, and we're using that for building compost, and we're also throwing those blocks in between the straw bales. So these straw bales, we cycle through these straw bales about once a year, and we flip this year's straw bale onto the growing space, and then we bring in a new straw bale. But those bales are glued together with the mycelium. So as soon as we flip that over and put that into the space, the worms come in and everything starts chewing and doing their thing. So we have the access to that. And then we're also, Humboldt County is also known for producing amazing grass-fed cows and dairy products. So some of the bigger organic dairies here have manure separators. So they're pulling the liquids off the manure. So we're able to capture that manure, which is really nice because it's much lighter for transport. And when we get it, sometimes it'll sit at the dairy for about 4 months, and we'll capture it. And what we did this year is we used some of that. We'll get that early winter, and we'll cap our beds with that in some spaces. We tried it this year, and it actually, a 2-inch cap kind of locked in the moisture, kept the weeds out. And then we came through and we planted cover crop in that, and it just blew up.
Yeah, dude, it's the anaerobic. It's not the anaerobic, it's not the aerobic, it's the in between. And again, it's so important. I mean, this is where humanity is failing to understand how soil works. It's not about like, oh, I'm all aerobic or I'm all anaerobic. It's about like, hey, the in between of using anaerobic ingredients to making it aerobic, and making a matrix that is allowing the biology to plume, to grow out. And so yeah, I was so excited to bring you on and talk about your mountaintop, because you had clay and you had rock. You did not have a lot of love up there. and you turned that shit around. I mean, your hay terracing, your cardboard, which I would love to talk about a little bit more, and how you use it to dry your plants. And then when it's spent, you use it to build soil again. And so, these are beautiful closed loops. And so speak a little bit about your use of cardboard.
Yeah, so most folks know that are in the cannabis industry about the black and yellow tote. We don't own one. We prefer to use cardboard boxes, and we will use those for bucking down into. We actually cure in the cardboard box in a controlled room, a locker. So instead of having, say, 50 black and yellow totes that you have 50 microclimates you have to check and deal with all those bins, we have a humidistat on the wall, and we can have 150 boxes in that room, and they're all going to be whatever it says on the wall, because they're all breathing and interacting with whatever that is. So we'll use those cardboard boxes a few seasons, and then we'll even ship product. It's a proper size for shipping our product out once we have it sealed up and so forth. And then they'll be used for stick, or some of these other things that we're doing for processing. And then finally, they'll end up as walkways in our gardens. And there was a little bit of talk at the beginning of the show about contaminants and so forth, but with the amount of biology, Leighton, I feel, you spoke to this a little bit. I'm not really concerned about that. You've got pill bugs that can digest heavy metals. You've got all the biology really chewing all that up and digesting it. So for us, we're scrutinized with cannabis testing standards being so high. We've never had any issues. And we're a big fan of it, and I encourage anyone to go into their backyard, wet down a place along a fence line, throw down a cardboard box, maybe put a brick on it or some wood, and just do an experiment. And it's that interface. And I'll talk about that interface again about under our straw bales, where our straw bales meet the earth. When we go to flip those straw bales that I said on a yearly system, it's that interface under the straw bale. We'll get 2 to 3, sometimes 4 inches of where gophers have gone through, worms have eaten. We'll actually scrape that up, and that will be some of our early potting soil. So we're kind of letting Mother Nature do the work for us. And we actually had so much of that this year that we built these 4 new little hugel beds that I'll showcase on our Instagram tomorrow, that we planted, and they just took off running. They were just so dialed in, and playing with that interface, whether it's, I've heard Josh and Kelly talk about rock mulching. We're playing with all sorts of things, all different textures, some old roofing, whatever you have, metal roofing that is, to lay things on the earth and see what's happening at the interface. It's incredible what the biology can do once it's sheltered from the sun a little bit and can have a little bit more moisture. And that's a really important thing that comes to my mind, is to have biology, especially in Humboldt County and in the Emerald Triangle. We have such a dry summer. We get almost no rain. To really grow that biology, you need a lot of water. So we have a rain catchment pond where we are able to capture a lot of water. We can run overhead sprinklers in the summer. So we're not just delivering water to a specific point where we're trying to grow cannabis. What we found from our smart pot days is you would have all these pest pressures and fungal pressures, because you have this amazing oasis in an arid flat where the only water is coming right to the base of the plant, where if you start treating your entire farm and growing space as a living biome, then your pest pressures are maybe over at your neighbor's house. And it's really important to really consider the use of water as being so critical to keeping this biology alive. We need it, and the biology needs it as well.
Oh, dude, beautifully said. And you know what? I got to plug Tina from Lala Gardens. She's making these clay balls, which are, I believe they're Jadam. So she's adding different ingredients into the clays to encourage biology. And I think that that's the interface that people need to know, is that with a simple focus on biology, it doesn't matter what you have for soil. And yeah, you are on top of a mountain, you're dealing with clay and rock. And so the only friend you have is biology. And with that biology, you can actually transform those raw minerals, those ingredients, into something that is very special and viable for any plants to grow. So, you know, again, kudos to you, Craig. You're doing the work, and you're on top of a fucking mountain in Humble with extreme weather, fog and wind and all these other things, and you're growing amazing plants. So, you know, to round this all up, you guys, I'm so excited that we had the opportunity to talk about these soil systems and how they function. And yeah, you know, it's
Leighton, if I could have one more minute just to finish
sure.
on a couple things. Yeah. What I also wanted to mention is I mentioned that we inoculate with the spent mushroom blocks, and we're getting those for free. And I encourage folks to look around and see what they can get for free or barter with. We're trading some firewood for these. But
Barter.
I mentioned that
It's all about barter.
yeah, exactly. I mentioned that we're putting the cardboard in our walkways. Well, mycelium loves the cardboard and the wood chips we're putting down in these walkways. So mycelium is running all over our farm now.
Mycelium running.
That's right. That's right. And being on the mountain, also it's the runoff of the water, so that really helps get the water into the earth and slow it and keep the it's a microfiltration happening.
Yeah, it's water harvesting 101. How do you slow water down? How do you collect water? How do you store water?
Exactly. So
water harvesting is all about like creating a system that slows it down so that you don't lose it, you don't erode, you actually collect it and slowly admit it back to the soil system and the groundwater. So yeah, you guys, you've been doing some amazing work up there, Craig, on the top of a fucking mountain.
Yeah, and
You know,
to speak to the mountain as well, you know, it's not only water that we try to slow, spread, and sink as it comes down the mountain, but it's the materials as well. Our compost pile, our main compost pile is at the top of the mountain, so the wheelbarrow can keep bringing it down. And then also
use gravity.
Yeah, right. And then the big madrone trees we have are, you know, we'll let the leaf blow into the ditches and we'll harvest that and keep bringing it down. But what the other thing I wanted to share with everyone, actually two more things, kind of excited about this, is the this book. Jesse Dodd from BioVortex, he's actually one of the characters in this book, and it seems like a silly comic book, but it is so amazing. It's sold out right now on our local website at regenerativeCannabisFarming.org, but you can find it on Amazon at the moment. And I know you guys were talking about biodynamic compost. There it is. It's laid out. There's the bunny teaching you how to do it. But it has preps. It has everything you need to know about all that. And then lastly, I didn't have any farm pictures, but in this month's issue of California Leaf Magazine, our Voltron has the centerfold. I don't know if you guys can see that. But they did really nice mention of our certification through Dragonfly. And we feel really blessed to be part of this community and this family of farmers. And for us, that's the biggest thing. You know, the California market doesn't allow us, it's very challenging to get our certification out into the public eye on our packaging. So it's events like this, and it's articles like that, and just the community and network sharing, and everyone being ambassadors on their Instagrams. And we appreciate all the support and follows we get. And I'll make sure to post a bunch of what we've got going on the farm tomorrow. You can follow us at Alpenglow Farms 707 on Instagram. And I know everyone here has an Instagram, so I hope you take a second and get everyone's address so we can follow everybody and really sharing is caring in this community, and we appreciate you all. Thank you.
Oh, kudos to you. Kudos to you, Greg.
Your
Yeah, and I
voice,
love
Greg.
it. And
You're awesome.
Jesse's done the work. I mean, he's been working hard for a long time, and you know, he created the awards.
The
The
Regenerative Cannabis Farming
Award.
Award.
Yeah, right. So kudos to him. And you know, just the work that Joshua and I did was like on the coattails of that, and whatever it is, it's all cool. But you know, I'm so glad that he's still powering through it and doing the work.
That's
And
Jesse.
we all should be doing. Hey, look, at the end of the days, we're all the same species. We're all humans. So we should like power each other up and help each other.
I'm
And
wondering.
thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Craig.
Can Forrest and Patricia show some pictures really quick because they didn't get to show any? Are you guys still around?
Oh yeah, bump it up. Patricia and Forrest, throw up your pics. Do it.
All right. I'm gonna do
Oh, here we go.
here. So you guys can see that. Okay. So here's a row of our plants. You can see it looks really wild. We like
Wow.
things pretty wild around here.
That's badass.
We love to grow big plants. And we love to be planting flowers in between and perennial herbs. This is something I didn't say before, is we do have a lot of perennial herbs and flowering pollination gardens, and that all goes into teas that we brew. And you know, if I see a herbal plant has like a bunch of smelly chirps going on, I want to add that to my tea, and like beautiful flowers. So that's something we do. Here's one of our compost piles. You can see it's very high up. This is a biodynamic pile that we side the fresh hay on. Underneath it was a bunch of sticks and kind of like a hugelkultur, but more stemmy material, smaller material. And then it was built up layer by layer with manure and veggies and grass clippings and hay.
You guys are doing an amazing job.
There's Forrest loving his plants. Yeah, we like to add all kinds of things. You can see the hills here are pretty mounded. We definitely are lasagna layering. We can't recommend it enough. Keep adding to your soil.
Yeah. Yes.
Introducing
Lasagna is amazing.
pollinated gardens too, like are going to help you with everything. The diversity, you know, is just like we've been talking about, that mycelium web. The more you introduce into your, you know, garden, the more beautiful it becomes. It's just like everything else in the world, you know, let's keep introducing
biodiversity
together. And biodiversity, there's some soil. We definitely have the mushroom growth going on here in the, these are just random, I'm going through here. This is our velvet perps. Our friends.
That's the smoke.
This is our main ingredient, is like loving our plants.
Amen.
And having the animals on the property, just kind of foraging around and fertilizing as they go, free range.
So I had birds pooping on my plants today, and I was like, oh my God. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
They came.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you have a nest in your cannabis or in any of your things, and you get to introduce different homes to different species, it's so nice. We're also
insects
certified
and birds, reptiles.
Yeah. That's
you guys are kicking ass up there.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Can't wait to see you guys.
And also, Keegan, did you have some pictures that you wanted to finish up with?
Yeah, let's see those, Keegan. We wanted to see the rest of your presentation.
Just love to just see you kind of be able to finish up some of those things there if you're available for that.
Keegan's doing some badass work.
Just
He's doing the work.
And
you know, his
as Keegan said, and the crew, because there's a beautiful family on the property there, and you know, the worm farm. What it is they have a beautiful community.
Yeah, it's a true Ohana.
We really will hopefully be a part of that community one day. Anyway.
Dreams.
Go ahead, Keegan.
Oh, dreams, Kelly, dreams. Can't wait to go back to Hawaii and live with family.
Keegan, we can't hear you, but can you tell us what that tree is? Because some people might
Maybe
not know what
unmute
that is.
yourself.
Sorry, I was muted. This is jabuticaba from Brazil. Beautiful, very tropical fruit. This is a mountain apple. This was actually a canoe crop brought over to the islands by the first indigenous peoples. And yeah, like Josh was saying, we're under an umbrella of a bunch of different businesses under One Heart Hub. We focus on food, arts, culture, and ecology. So we have, there's 2 restaurants locally that we close the loop on that. We get all of their waste, kitchen scraps, we get all their plates. So that's one of the closed loop, and then the fish farm that I mentioned. So yeah, gonna run real quick. I'll talk about the poultice mulch. So here we are, raking out that manure, cocoa coir,
Nice.
biochar, worm casting, slurry, rake it all the way out to the drip line. Here come the plates. So this is Areca palm plates from the restaurant, about a month's worth of plates, and then cap it with mulch. You can look at the tree now is just an immense amount of vegetative growth. It's loaded with avocados now.
Keegan, like what you're doing could be done anywhere on this planet. Like there's nobody that can't do this. Like you can harvest all of these local waste streams and put them into place and get things done and allow the plants to actually use these resources. So
yeah, not just the plants, the
kudos,
animals,
bro.
man, seeing the diversity underneath. Hawaii has one reptile that's endemic, and it's this little blind snake, the Hawaiian snake, and it acts very much like an earthworm. And yeah, just building these style mulch piles under the beds, we have a lot of diversity, a lot of life, the birds, the animals, all the little bugs in the mycelium. So this is, yeah, going underneath the mulch piles, all the feeder roots coming in, tons of mycelium, and the earthworms just building the soil very rapidly in a tropical climate. You know, we get the stuff broken down quite quickly. This is
so sand, silt, and clay used properly.
This is a new citrus orchard we planted. So this is the blank canvas, and again, connecting the dots. So there's about 40 citrus trees in here, and we mulch them in rows. So again, we're not compacting. We're not ever mowing in between the trees. This is all an area where the roots can thrive and communicate together, share nutrients. And then we also use this spacing to intercrop veggies, eggplant, and papaya, and peppers, and stuff like that. And now we're starting to cardboard and mulch the lanes in between and do pumpkin for a fall crop in between. It's pretty sweet. Just a pollinator bed here going on. Lots of cool tropical plants. It's like a new tree planting, baby ulu tree, which is another canoe crop. You can see lots of heavy mulch, companion plants, and then a month later, that's the same pigeon pea coming up. When the pigeon pea comes up, we chop and drop that. So it's feeding from above when we mulch it, but it's also fixing nitrogen below. This is a row of papayas, same deal, poultice mulch. Then we fill it with soil that we make here on the farm and then plant it out with veggies. That's the bed today. So we want to we want to fertilize these papayas so we could go to the store, buy fertilizer, or we fertilize the whole zone, fill it with soil, and then fill it with veggies. So that's and then yeah, Kelly was talking about our worm operation. So we have this massive structure just dedicated to our red wiggler composting worms. All the food scraps coming from 2 different restaurants, we pre-compost with coconut coir and manure, and then just probably 1 million worms at this point. And we actually sell the worm castings out in the community. We sell soil to our community. And building soil and making these worm castings has really filled the gaps for our harvest, for our fruit trees and stuff. It's getting us closer to being, you know, profitable or sustainable by actually offering these high quality products to other farmers and skipping the bag. So many people buying bag soil to grow veggies or to grow ganja, and we can make it right here on our farm and get it to those farmers.
Keegan, you're doing some amazing work. Like, I've studied your soil and you're doing it. So keep up the good work and make sure that you allow people to understand what you're doing. Like, teach them, because you've done it. Dude, you've done it.
Yeah, the other closed loop, the fish farm. So there's the fish scraps. We have them fermenting in these barrels, and all the gnarly fungal growth on top that goes on there. And then we bottle it up, starting to offer that product to other farmers as well. And then this is the byproduct of our byproduct. So once we get all the juice out, we have all these fish bodies, and we layer that in with coconut coir, with biochar, and then with the local soil, and then rototill that and create just an epic product that we call fabchar, which fish amino acid biochar, bokashi, and then add the spirulina, and it just makes this beautiful compost. This is actually the collarbone to a tilapia right here that you see, and then all the cool fungal growth. And the cake.
You know, Keegan, I think the one thing you have is an inoculant. So you could send this stuff anywhere on the planet and make it available. And if people can get past the smell and add it to wood chips or their compost, they will have that biodiversity that is so critical to soil building, that anaerobic, aerobic, in between environment of biology. And so in so many ways, you have like bridged the gap between the parties. Like, you know, it's not all about me, it's not all about you, it's all about like, hey, where can we meet in the middle? And you've done it, dude. You've done it. So
thank you. Yeah,
please.
Not just me. It's a cool team we got over here. So stoked to be a part of it and learning from everybody here.
Power up, bro. Power up.
Oh.
You're doing it.
Did you finish?
All done. Thank you for letting me slide in, Josh. Super appreciate that.
Right on, brother. Did you
So
get
important.
through everything you needed to there? That's good. Okay, sweet. Give thanks. Give thanks.
And did anyone else, because we can't really get into the question and answer, unfortunately, and we're running out of time.
Josh and Jamie, did you get through all the pictures that you wanted to show everyone?
Awesome.
Okay, sweet. Good
I
one.
guess Marcus, you're back. So are there any like burning questions from the,
or is there anything you want to like add to the soil love, or do you want to talk about?
I mean, honestly, I was just really happy to hear everyone talk. It was super interesting the way all of you have such different terroirs. Like it almost like you couldn't have picked like more differences than than what you guys are all rocking, which made for a pretty interesting conversation. And I wanted to thank Craig because I've got my order in for organic growing comic. So I got that off of Amazon, and I'm going to be reading that to my 5-year-old son on the regular. Me and my wife are going to read it too. So thank you so much for that. Thanks everyone for sharing your time and your pictures and your vibes. And thanks for being stewards of the land and producing the good food and the good cannabis, and just thanks for sharing your time with me.
Thank you. And
Love you, Bubble Man.
I just like to highlight the DEMpurefarms.com website, which is an area as a website which you can see a list of all the farms that are Pure certified. And there are more farms that are Pure certified coming on soon, and their stories
So many more.
are all being told in different bioregions in the world. And we do feel very blessed that we have people out in Europe, in Ireland and Thailand and South Africa, New Zealand, Hawaii,
Australia.
all over the world that are
Yeah.
adopting these techniques and really just taking back the power and creating resin. And Marcus is helping facilitate solventless, extracts
And facilitating these educational forums, like, so much. Thank you so much, Marcus. Also, I wanted to say that this is, we talk a lot about pollinators in our garden, and this energy is pollinating all over the planet. And we just really encourage everyone to take little bits and pieces and do what you can, and educate people, and utilize cannabis for your endocannabinoid system. And that doesn't mean that you have to get high, and go to farmers market. Support brown businesses in the world, and support small farmers, and support soil and the living environment that it creates on the planet.
and so you're going
All right, so we're rolling into the new moon, starting pretty much tomorrow. We're heading into the new moon, and it's just going to be a fabulous day tomorrow for communication with what's going on with your farmers. Everything that you maybe wanted to say, like, all week or all month, like easy communication, planning for your projects, things that you may have been putting off, like, oh, we really got to build that shed or whatever. Tomorrow is a fabulous time. And then that goes right into Sunday as well. So plan, and it goes into the summer solstice. So time to spend with our family and friends. And then as it goes into Sunday, it's a Cancer moon. And because it's a new moon and it's in Cancer, it's an amazing time to prune or top for new regrowth. So if you're going to be topping any of your cannabis plants, or you want to get into your tomatoes, or you wanted to cut off some of those leaders of your squash, Sunday is a fabulous day for it.
And it's also Father's Day. Big love to the fathers. And I'd also like to say we're going to be doing an Earth Dance presentation, and check in on earthdance.com and see what's going on there with the global meditation and the prayer for peace on there. And that's just a beautiful community. So big up on the solstice for the fathers and the Earth Dance.
And then in Monday, it starts to move into a planting day for any kind of juicy roots, things that are under the ground, your yak cones, your potatoes, your carrots. You can get really juicy parsnips if you hit them on that day. And then moving into Tuesday, it's really good time for pruning for no growth. So if you want to cut, some of your old perennials that have already spent, that are already flowered out, it's a fabulous time for all of your herb harvesting to hang them up. It's going to be a great day for drying, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then hopefully we'll see you guys next week on Thursday.
Everyone can tell everyone where they can find you. So maybe to end it, give thanks to Leighton for everything, and Marcus, Bubbleman, and the family. Happy Father's Day, Marcus. We love you.
And all fathers out there, thanks for upholding it.
Craig, you're an amazing father. I just want to say, I just want to just give maybe a little special love, because we have a relationship on and off the realms and everything. And we just really appreciate you. You put a lot of love into your family, and a lot of love to your,
Dad.
to the, your girls and your family and your lady, and they're really special.
Where can we find you guys? Josh and Jamie, how can people find you guys?
On Instagram, Swampy Acres 906.
Big love out in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Dragonheart Farm, where can we find you guys?
Yeah, also on Instagram at the Dragonheart Farm and Facebook Dragonheart Farm. Mahalo for having me. Thank you guys so much.
Craig?
Alpenglow Farms 707 on Instagram. And feel free to DM any questions, any thoughts. I'm always happy to respond to those.
And NorCal Melanie, big shout out to her. And
Yes, of course. And, you know, let's also realize what Kelly was talking about, that racism is a white issue, and we have white privileged people that we're speaking with and to, and we need to be the allies to these other folks. Thank you.
Let's do our best. Sunroots, Forrest and Patricia, love you, Forrest. Love you, Patricia.
You guys the best. I love you guys.
We love you guys too. We love all this family, and so grateful that DEM Pure has brought our whole community together and we're able to share so much information. It's absolutely incredible. We're Sunroots Farm. You can find us at Sunroots Farm on Instagram and sunrootsfarm.com. And again, blessed to all our family, and we stand with everyone in all ways.
It looks like Leighton dropped off, but you can find him at Kingdom Aquaponics
And we want to
LLC.
and we want to
on
thank him
Instagram.
so much for leading us down this path on soil and soil building. What a wonderful opportunity to go all around the globe. We're going to get even wider with these soil Appalachia terroir discussions, different varietals, and really, you know, go deep into the human interaction of botany. And it's all just so exciting that everyone's holding a place on the planet for the pollinators, for biodiversity, for possibilities.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about cannabis internationally, and we're also going to do an episode on cannabis testing in different parts, different testing facilities in the US and beyond, and maybe we can help influence some Canadian law as it moves forward with its federal mandate with the 10,000 microbial units.
And while we're talking about things that are coming up on the 28th, Marcus is going to be so awesome to host a lot of ladies. Many DEM Pure cultivators and women are going to come on, and we're going to talk and spend hash church, and really excited about that. It's going to be June 28th on that day.
Super stoked about that. All women panel. I'm gonna be watching. I won't be on the panel.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a great evening.
Night.
It's 8:40. That's 420 times 2, and that's the big, you know, that's the better time.
That's double it up.
Double your
Double it
420.
up.